Heyo everyone! Time for the long pike wielding Fortebraccio. These are a 4-star heroic era unit from Season 3. They cost 235 leadership and are a large bane for cavalry. With their Sicanian pikes wiggling in the air as they move, it is a sight that makes cavalry second guess engaging. So let's look more closely at the Fortebraccio. Fortebraccio sport 4 traits, though the first one, Soldiers of Fortune, is no longer relevant as it gave them a leadership and unit kit cost reduction during Season 3. Sicanian pikes refers to their weapon that lets them fend off cavalry, but at the expense of not actively fighting when in brace. Fire resistant we have seen before, this means the unit's armor is less vulnerable to thermal weapons. Encumbered is a negative trait. The Sicanian pikes burden the Fortebraccio, meaning they cannot push siege engines or climb ladders. Formations that can be used are the Dispersed Formation, great for reducing the impact of ranged volleys against the unit, the Line Formation, which is a staggered variant. This is great for working in shield wall formations with allies. Last is the Block Formation. This is the formation that I use most. It is excellent for tight areas or running around either solo or with a friend. I have a tips and tricks video that talks more about using this type of formation. I will put a card above for that. The only unit order available is Stand Firm, which is a brace. With Fortebraccio, you will not use this as they will automatically use Stand Firm whenever they are in line or block formation. There are 2 Veterancy lines available for the Fortebraccio, and before you level them up, they will have the stats shown on the screen now. Before either line, you will receive a 5% increase to piercing damage. If you proceed through the top line, you will end up netting a 12% increase to critical value, 20% increase to braced weapon armor penetration, 6% increase to piercing damage, 6% increase to braced weapon damage, 15% increase to piercing armor penetration, 5% reduced range damage taken, and increases the number of enemies each soldier can attack in a single strike by 1. The top line is the damage dealing line. The increase to the number of soldiers attacked is a huge boon when you combine it with the penetration and damage increases. It is by far the most popular line due to the sheer damage output the Fortebraccio can pull off with it. With that being said, if you go the bottom line, you will net a 9% increase to piercing defense, 5% reduced range damage taken, 6% increase to slashing defense, 20% reduced damage taken from enemy cavalry, 10% increase to movement speed, 9% increase to health, 20% increase to all defenses. The bottom line helps with defense. It makes the Fortebraccio tankier. For solo players, it may be beneficial, but as a pike user, the Fortebraccio are not intended to be tanks. Pikes are damage dealers and cavalry counters. The bottom line does provide reduced damage taken from cavalry, which can help counter cavalry, but taking the top line and dealing massive damage to charging cavalry tends to be more effective. For that reason, I recommend going the top line with your Fortebraccio. Looking at Doctrines, they can be equipped with the Assassination Doctrine, Barber Surgeon's Doctrine, Breakthrough Doctrine, Life Doctrine, Fortebraccio Pikeman's Doctrine 2, Piercing Doctrine, Piercing Damage Doctrine, Epic Polearm Doctrine 1, Rare Polearm Doctrine 1, Blunt Piercing and Slashing Defense Doctrines. If you want to see descriptions for the different doctrines, you can find them on Conqueror. A link is in the description down below. There are 2 more slots for doctrines that I have empty that I cannot find the doctrines for. If you have an idea, please leave it in the description down below. Though I will say lately this has been more of a problem, so I am wondering if they have to do with the new epic doctrines that are coming around the corner. To give you an idea of what to run, I run the Fortebraccio Pikeman Doctrines 2, Piercing Doctrine, Piercing Damage Doctrine, Life Doctrine, and Polearm Doctrine 1. If I had the Epic Polearm Doctrine 1, I would replace the Piercing Doctrine with it. Some notes for Fortebraccio. They are a great unit for holding down openings and gateways. 2 Fortebraccio units flanking a gateway makes it difficult for units to enter. This is a common tactic used in territory wars, and one that is great to practice. Fortebraccio have a great damage output, but they are not very defensive. A large counter to them is ranged attacks from archers or muskets. Artillery is another excellent counter, so it is important that you combine them with some shield units to block ranged attacks. This will also help with taking out cavalry, as the shield unit can stop the cavalry charge inside of the effective attack zone of the Fortebraccio, letting them mop up any that may have survived. Speaking of the effective attack zone, as a reminder, in Season 5 they had changed it to where pikes only attack from the tip of the pike, and not within its entire reach. So keep in mind that Fortebraccio have extremely long pikes, so if a unit gets right up on your formation, the pikes cannot attack them. This is another great reason to have shields blocking for you. Fortebraccio are a strong defensive pike unit. They do not push as hard as Imperial pikes with their advance, but they can hold down a gate, fend off cavalry, and deal some massive damage on a unit formation. They are one of the units that I usually recommend people go back to a previous season for. And if My Games continues to make earlier season units easier to obtain, then next season may be a great time to pick them up. I hope this video helped you get a look at the Fortebraccio. I cannot thank you all enough for helping me obtain 1,000 subscribers on the channel. I really appreciate it. As a thank you, I'm going to be holding a giveaway for 1,100 sovereigns for the next 2 weeks. It has started today and will be running till March 5th. All you have to do is follow the link in the description and sign up using your YouTube. There are also 3 other ways for you to get a ticket in the drawing. Please adhere to your local regulations about giveaways. I will be announcing the winner on social media. Also, as a reminder that as this video comes out, there is a drop campaign taking place over on Twitch, so check me out over there as well. With all that, until next time, I'll see you on the battlefield. Oh, that hurts. Yeah.